In today's video, we're going to cover how to sort your aluminum scrap using something like handheld LIBS. And I'm going to talk about why handheld LIBS is such a great tool for sorting your aluminum. Let's get right into it. All right, so first up, we're gonna have 1100 aluminum. Now this alloy, 1100, is actually relatively pure. It's called commercially pure aluminum. We see it in aluminum wire, typically in our scrap yards, and sometimes as stamped sheet, other things like that. So here we are, 1100 aluminum, relatively pure, low contaminants like copper, zinc, manganese. There really isn't any magnesium, there really isn't any in here, at least there shouldn't be if it's 1100. There are some pure grades, the 1050, 1020, 1040 grades, those are your prime alloys. You can sort them with handheld LIBS. It's not typical to see them in the scrap metal industry, but it is something you may run into someday. You should get a little bit of a premium for that. It's extra pure material, it really helps your melters out. And at the end of the day, when we're talking about sorting scrap, we're talking about helping your customers. So let's go into the next series of alloys, which is the 2000. So here, I've got a 2024 aluminum alloy, okay? So 2024, what is 2024? It's basically just an aluminum alloy with a little bit of magnesium, manganese, and copper in it. Now there are some other elements in there as well, but the big thing I want to point out here is this is about 4.5 to 5% copper typically. So big source of copper contamination where most other aluminum alloys really shouldn't have any or have a very narrow, small range of copper. Really important, if you see if you see 2024 aluminum, pull that out, segregate that. It'll save you and your customers a lot of headaches in the future. All right, so next up, I've got another, this is actually another 2000 series. And I think it's important to talk about the 2000 series because they're an alloy family that gets a little weird. So this is actually a 2055 sample. And a 2055, we've got around 4% copper, so 3.73. But look at that, I've got lithium, I've got silver, and I've got zinc in this, okay? This is gonna contaminate just about anything you put it into. This is a 2055 sample, but that lithium is something you can only see with handheld LIBS. X-ray is just not gonna do that. So if you've got an X-ray gun on site, you can't even see this. You can't even see this alloy. So it's really important, get that stuff out, put it in its own bucket. Okay. Next up, 3003 aluminum. We have a video on this one where we talk about, okay, so 3003, what is it? Relatively commercially pure, with a little bit of manganese, and boom, that's exactly what we see. So I've got that manganese at 1.44%, not much else in there. This sample probably rubbed up against my copper samples in my kit, which sometimes soft metals like copper and aluminum can do. But again, relatively pure grade. Keep it that way. I should mention 3003, 3004, and 3005 are all relatively common alloys, although 3003 is much more common than the other two. 3004 and 3005 have a little bit of magnesium in them, okay? And you notice there really wasn't any in 3003. That's an important distinction. Next up, 5052. You'll notice I'm skipping the 4000 series alloys. They're really not that common. If you'd like to see some 4000 series alloys, comment down below. Be happy to oblige. All right, 5052 aluminum, 2.75% magnesium, right? A little bit of chrome, not much else. Again, low iron, low silicon. Now, where I see 5052, I see people run into trouble with 5052 aluminum. First of all, typically people know that they're getting 5052. Usually it's from industrial companies making stampings or producing quite a bit of scrap. But with those old X-ray guns, those old XRFs, you can't see the magnesium very easily, if at all. And this can actually look like 1100 because you'll notice there really isn't that much else in this alloy other than that magnesium. So if you can't see it, you can't make a decision on how to sort it. 5052, easy to sort with handheld LIBS. Nail that magnesium level number every time because we do both heavy and light elements, right? Doing iron, magnesium, same analysis time. So that is a source of contamination. Typically what I see is this 5052 getting into the 3003 or the 1100 and contaminating with magnesium. And that's something I see all the time. So the next thing here, we're going to do is we're going to actually go into the aluminum extrusion grades, which are the 6000 series, okay? In this case, I've got a 6061 grade. 6063 is a little bit purer, a little bit more dollars for sorting that alloy out, but relatively good material to move, right? 6000 series is pretty easy to move as from a recycling standpoint in the US. And what we see here is we have a little bit of magnesium, a little bit of silicon, okay? There really isn't that much else in here. The 6061 has that little bit. Look, we're at 0.28% copper. Now that's pretty cool. 0.28% copper. What that means is I've got a little copper aim on the bottom end of the spec for 6061. I don't have that for every grade. 6063 is like 0.15 max or something. It's pretty small, and it needs to be as low as it can be. So it's important to know that the 6000 series grades are relatively pure as well. They're easy to do high volume sales with, and you can contaminate them with magnesium or even copper if you put the wrong materials in there, okay? So the last metal in the series, this is 7075 aluminum. Now 7075 is an aerospace grade. 7050 and 7075, I've got a video on that. Those two alloys are the most common alloys that I've seen in scrap. They're pretty easy to see. You'll notice if you look at your screen now, we've got that zinc around 5%, okay? So about 5% zinc, easy to see, but different than everything else we've tested so far, okay? And then we have magnesium, we have a little bit of copper. They're kind of high alloy. Now, there's a little bit of chrome or titanium in these alloys, 7050 and 7075, and you'll notice, you can see that down on the screen there, but relatively low iron in this case. But you'll notice that if you go back through everything that we did today, 7075, 6061, 5052, 3003, 2024, and 1100. And we did the 2055 just to show you some of the weird stuff you can see, but all of those grades are very common in scrap metal, all right? And when you're looking to sell to a customer, they're buying a bunch of your material, you don't want these problem childs in your metal. You don't want your 2024 copper contaminating pretty much anything where it shouldn't be. So using a technology like handheld LIBS allows you to identify how much copper is in there. Allows you to identify if there's lithium there or not, or silver, iron, silicon, magnesium, chrome, titanium, all these elements and more are easy to see with handheld LIBS in just a couple of seconds. And where X-ray can't see all these alloys, handheld LIBS can. Thanks for tuning in this week. If you learned something, please like this video. Please consider subscribing. It tells me you guys value the content. And if you have any suggestions for future content, please post them down below. We'll see you next time.